Hello and welcome to the Pup Mommy. You know, there are three pathways when adopting a dog: from a breeder, a shelter, and a rescue. And not all pathways are right for all people. There's not one right way or one wrong way. But in this video, I'm going to take you through adopting a dog from a rescue and knowing what to look for before you sign those adoption papers, because it can mean a lifetime of happiness for you and the dog, or sometimes when you get the wrong rescue, it can also mean that you're going to have a little bit of a quasi-nightmare, which is something that happened to me, actually, but it worked out in the end. So let's get started. For me, rescues fall into three categories: breed, specialty, and general. Breed is exactly that. It's a rescue, I should say, that's dedicated to rescuing a specific breed of dog, whether it's a golden retriever, whether it's a Saint Bernard, whether it's a Doberman, whether it's a Chihuahua. These are people who actually have owned this breed of dog or currently own this breed of dog, so they are very knowledgeable and experienced in the breed's temperament, and in the breed's behaviors. If you don't want to go the breeder route, this is definitely a viable alternative for you to consider. The second category of rescue is what I call specialty. And by specialty, what I mean by that is there are rescues that are dedicated to, let's say, dogs with disabilities, the deaf, the blind, missing limbs. Some rescues are dedicated to senior dogs. Other rescues are dedicated to retired military working dogs and rehabbing those dogs from who have worked overseas and now are looking for homes here in the United States, either with former handlers or with people who have experience in handling working line dogs. And then finally, the other category of rescue is the general rescue. And in the general rescue, you basically will find almost any type of dog: large, small, senior puppy, adult dog, anything in between, short-haired, long-haired. And one to know about these general rescues is that even though there are some that are owner surrendered to these rescues, a lot of the dogs that are pulled from animal care and control. And that doesn't necessarily always mean your local animal care and control. Sometimes when you have disasters in different parts of the country, where hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, and shelters are overwhelmed in different areas of the country when that happens, some of the dogs are moved up into safer areas in the hopes that they will get adopted. So that's something to consider as well as you look at these general rescues. From my perspective, there are a couple types of rescues, and I've encountered both. The first type of rescue is the rescue that is people who have huge hearts, they love dogs, but they also are very realistic in the fact that they can't save every dog. By that I mean that they're well organized, they have multiple income streams, they've been in the rescue business, and yes, it is a business. 501(c)(3)s are indeed a business recognized by the IRS. But they are well, as I said, they're well organized. They have multiple funding streams. The people who work in these rescues have been involved in them for a large number of years, and sometimes they're full-time, and other times they're volunteers or they're fosters. But the people who generally have very significant experience in dog ownership. They're familiar with the temperament, they're familiar with the behaviors, and that enables them to give good evaluations as to what dog is going to fit for you and or your family. Another thing with these rescues is that because they are funded, when the dog comes into the rescue, they immediately take that dog to a vet, and they have the vet examine the dog to find out the state of the dog's health. Vets perform testing on the dog, especially let's say Lyme disease or heartworm. And this is where I mentioned earlier when you have dogs that come up from other parts of the country where some of those diseases may be prevalent. An ethical, really good rescue is going to make sure that they do not adopt out a dog that is not well. All right, they're very responsible. They take care of their dogs, and they make sure that when the potential adopter comes around, they get a healthy dog. And they also disclose everything that they know about the dog to the adopter so that one can make a good decision. The other type of rescue is also very similar in the fact that you have people who have huge hearts, they are well-meaning, but they try and rescue every single dog. I mean, they just try and they just rescue. What I have encountered sometimes with some of these organizations, again, you have very well-meaning people. Rescue is a tough job. It's a heartbreaking job. But some of these rescues also operate kind of on a shoestring budget. They have cash flow problems. Many of their volunteers and fosters have full-time jobs. So rescue is very near and dear to them, but they only have so many hours in the day. So sometimes there's a communication issue if you're filling out an application and then you don't hear back for a week or two. Also, the people who work in some of these organizations have varying degrees of knowledge and experience in working with dogs. They mean well. They'll volunteer. They'll walk them. They'll and so forth. But sometimes that can lead to mislabeling a dog and also misevaluating a dog. And by that I mean, well, I take my dog Noelle, for example. This particular rescue told me it was a retriever mix. Well, it turns out that it wasn't a retriever mix. It was anything but a retriever mix. It was much as a retriever mix as my German Shepherd is a Chihuahua. I did a DNA test on the dog, and it turns out that it was predominantly Husky and American Bulldog. Now, full transparency, had I known that, I might not have adopted that dog because I'm familiar with the traits of a Husky and a Bulldog. And Noelle caused quite a bit of damage in destruction in my home. And of course, I repaired that and also spent quite a bit of money training him and working with him and getting rid of some of those behaviors. So, I came very, very close to almost returning him, but my heart overreacted versus my head. So Noelle was with me until he passed at 7 years of age. So therefore, the bottom line and the point to all of this is when you are adopting a dog, adopting the right dog is very important. But it's also equally important that you know something about where you're adopting the dog from. So again, I hope this video has helped you in some respects. Sometimes when you get into the topic of rescue, it can be a real hot potato. This is not meant to offend anybody because, as I said earlier in the video, rescue is a tough job. It's a tough job. It's a heartbreaking job. And so if you have any comments or if you have any questions, I'll leave my contact information in the description section. Thank you for watching. Again, I hope this helped you in some ways and maybe got you thinking about things and that you might not have thought about before. So again, thank you for watching and bye for now.